Hello, welcome to your video lesson of today about the history of English. In today's lesson we're going to check some main aspects about the origins of the English language as we know it today. So we're going to go through different contents, 3 different bullet points. 1. The origins of history of English, which is an approach to the origin of the English language. Then the historical stages, which will tell us how the English has evolved from its origin till our days. Then some interesting and important facts about the English language as we know it. Okay, so with no further ado, let us start. First, let's talk about the origins. Some people or many people believe that the English language already existed in the British Isles, mainly used by the indigents who lived there. Who were those indigents? Well, basically people that were already in the British Isles. As it says here, there were indigents who lived in these areas of England, but these people had originally come from the continent, from Germany, basically. They were the Celtics, Welsh, Scottish, and Irish people. They were said to be the aboriginal indigents of the British Isles. During the early 5th century, they were invaded, these tribes, these indigents were invaded by some West Germanic tribes. Let's remember that part, West Germanic tribes. These tribes were also known as the Saxons, the Angles, and the Jutes. The names Angles and Saxons might sound familiar to you. Basically, when the Roman Empire came to the English Isles, they found all these tribes living in the isle already. When the Romans conquered them, these tribes, Saxons, Angles, Jutes, and some other shorter or smaller tribes who were living there, they already had their own internal conflict. So basically, out of all those tribes, the Saxons and the Angles prevailed. The Roman Empire came and they had more contact with the Angles. And this is why the Roman Empire called the land as the Angle land or land of the Angles. Derived from the word Angle land, it is how they compiled the name Angleland or England, which is the name of the country. It is also known that through the language they used, the Angles used, the Romans called it the language of the Angles or the Angle language. If you put these words together, they will say Angle language, Anglish, English, English. So that is where we get the word English and England from. Now let us remember, the English language then was formed by these West Germanic tribes that came to the island. And they settled down and created the language. Okay, so this is basically the origin of the English language as we know it today. Historical stages of the English language. It is very difficult, if I may say impossible, to determine in which year the evolution of a language stops and it changes to a new era. Because it is an evolution that is constantly happening. However, we can know that through the facts, historical events that marked the history forever. So, based on that, then we have different stages in the English evolution. The first stage is the Old English. You have some years here, which it is the period of time in which linguists have compiled the era of the Old English. Old English is also subdivided into prehistoric English, early Old English, and late Old English. What we should say about this era, the most important fact about the Old English, is the Norseman invasions. The Norseman invasions is also known as the Viking invasion in the north side of England, when they first arrived to Lindisberg and they settled down, and then they started to raid all of the villages and the different kingdoms that existed in that time, as England was not one kingdom only, but England was a group of several kingdoms, such as Wessex, Mercia, Sussex, Suffolk, and many others. All of them had their own kings, apart from Scotland and Wales, of course. When the Vikings arrived, one of the biggest kingdoms was Wessex. The king of Wessex was the King Alfred the Great, who was able to defeat the Vikings through some actions that he took. So, basically the Vikings came, and they did not have any writing language developed. The English people, the Saxons, also known as the Saxons now, they already had their own English language developed. King Alfred the Great was writing the Saxon Chronicles. So, when the Vikings came, all of this was used by the king in order to provide a great work of literature. And the influence of the Viking words started to emerge and to mix into the English language that had already settled and developed there. Okay, so we have words such as sky or school, which come from the Viking invasion. The next stage is the Middle English era. During this era, the most important fact is the Norman invasion. By the time this era started, the Vikings had already disappeared from the face of Earth. But now Francia, as it was known in that time, which was France, started to invade different countries, and England was not the exception. So the French people came to invade England, and it is known as the Norman invasions with William the Conqueror, as you might have heard before. When the Norman invasion started to happen, they took control over the English people and basically over the royalty, which was transformed into French-spoken country, meaning the royals and the wealthy people only spoke French, while the common people spoke English. This came to happen with a combination of words from French to English. And actually, if you notice in the English language, we have a vast variety of words that come from French, such as toilet, mercy, pork, and many others. So, the royals were using French, and the common people were using English. Okay, this period of time, that was the most important fact about this period of time. And then we come with the Elizabethan era, which is also known as the early modern English. This period of time happens through the Renaissance time. It is called Elizabethan era after the Queen Elizabeth I, daughter of Henry VIII, Elizabeth Tudor. So during this period of time, something which was really important is the invention of the printing press, which actually created a big influence of the English language all around the known world. The printing press was important because it released and published the first book written and printed, which was the Bible. And through the Bible, the English language was released, was spread all over Europe, giving then English a big position above the rest of the languages, as many people had to read and had to learn to read in English. Not only the Bible, but also some other books, such as The Death of Arthur, written by Thomas Malory in French, which was then translated into the English language and tells the tale of King Arthur of Camelot. And many other stories were also printed during that time, and it is also the time in which we know one of the most remarkable people in literature history, who is William Shakespeare. With his playwrights and all of the work that he did and contributed to the English language, it definitely helped for English to become the most popular language all over the world. After the Elizabethan era, we come to the modern English, which comes from the 18th century up to the 20th century, in which the Industrial Revolution, the colonialism, the settling into America, in the United States, the differences between American and British English in the two dictionaries that we know today, official English dictionaries, which are Oxford Dictionary for British English and Webster Dictionary for American English. All of these contributed to the maximum of the splendor of the English language as we know it today. So, and the English language is also receiving influence from other languages such as Spanish itself, especially American English, because it receives the influence from immigrants from Latin America. So nowadays we have words in the Webster Dictionary such as loco or fiesta, which come from Spanish language, and now are considered to be part of the English vocabulary. So modern English comes from the 18th to the 20th century, and today linguists have compiled a new era, have said that a new era in the evolution of the English language has started, and this era is the English in the 21st century era, in which language is being influenced by technology. Basically, English language is used for technology terms all over the world. So it doesn't matter what kind of language you speak, doesn't matter which part of the world you are from, but you're going to use English terms if you talk about computers, technology, and even social media. Because everybody knows Facebook, or Twitter, or YouTube, which are words that come from the English language. So this is basically the history and the evolution of the English language through times. Now let's research and let's have an overview over some quick important facts. First, the Beowulf poem, if you know that poem, this epic heroic poem, was the first poem written in English. Its author is anonymous, but we know that it's the first poem written in English, and it talks about a hero that comes to conquer. King Alfred the Great made the first translation from Latin to English of the Bible. And he did that in order to secure the language and to defeat the Vikings, actually. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicles was used to promote the use of the English language among the heathens. And the Vikings came to know all the stories of the Saxons through the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, having Vikings admiring Saxons due to their battle abilities. The Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer established the future of the English language. It made it popular, as the Canterbury Tales tell the stories of Camelot, of Lancelot, and all the knights of the Round Table of King Arthur, and some other tales, which have become very popular. St. George and the Dragon among them, which is the story of Norwich in England. The King James Bible established the domination of modern English around the world after the printing press. And finally, William Shakespeare created more than 2,000 new words and idioms in the English language.